Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with iTrack. Huge shout out to all the iTrack fam tapping in yet again like you always do. You have just caught the Sunday flow, and what we generally do on the Sunday flow is I give you one new episode and then I give you a few of the greats on the back end for all the new members of the fam, so you can catch up on the latest and greatest of what's been going on out on the internet. And let me give a huge shout out to all the brand new members that have just recently brought a badge to the channel. Huge shout out to Michelle, Jay Cohen, Joe Kane, John Mario, Mob Rules, Jen Phillips, and Jeremiah Baidu. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for choosing to support the channel. I do appreciate it. It definitely gives me that motivation to keep it pushing. And if this is your first time here, what we'd like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy TikToks and kind of evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me, smash that subscribe button, and join the iTrack fam. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it.
That's my humiliation ritual. With all honors, with flying colors. But the only difference between my humiliation ritual and a lot of others is I was walking with God the whole time. Being deeply rooted in prayer, deeply in search of answers, and deeply rooted and grounded in the palms of his hands through the process of this whole humiliation ritual.
Now, is he clout chasing or is he being honest? Let me know what you think.
Police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever we need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. We just, if there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop. A drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple. And the new generation of autonomous drone.
Yeah, see, I'm for AI when it's all about helping humanity and saving time, you know? But all that other enslavement and being all in my business, I'm not for that.
Recently, Donald Trump suggested Mexico join the U.S. as a state. Here's how that might look. Mexico would surpass Alaska as the largest U.S. state. With 761,610 square miles, the U.S. territory would expand to 4.57 million square miles, making it the second largest country globally, just behind Russia. Mexico's population of 128 million would make it the most populous state, surpassing California. With a total U.S. population of 466 million, this would also exceed the European Union's 449 million. Economically, Mexico's 1.27 trillion GDP would rank fourth among U.S. states, behind New York and above Florida. Mexico's per capita GDP of $13,790 stands in sharp contrast to the average of $83,347 for the remaining states, significantly lowering the national average to $63,495. On the bright side, all Mexicans would be legal in the U.S., and Cancun would become a premier tourist destination within the United States.
Predatory species of humans beyond the ice wall. You're telling me Richard Constantine conquered the lands within the ice wall because he was running from what was on the outside.
Look, I told you, outside the ice wall, in the outer lands, there are hundreds of other continents, countries, land masses. The ancestral lands are where our conquerors came from, but the land of Panthea is who they were running from.
Panthea?
Not exactly the place you want to book a family vacation, to say the least, but look, it's a dark world, allegedly located on the furthest outskirts of all lands, outside the perimeter of our sun, which can give you some insight into just how, kind of intimidating these people actually are. We're talking about a group of humans with profound genetic differentiations based on their environment. Their retinas are entirely geared toward nocturnal vision. They have zero sunlight. They've evolved into borderline psychic levels of environmental awareness, okay? If one of these things wanted to hunt you and your family down, you'd never even see it coming.
So what happened? Why were the ancestral families running from the panther?
So back in 2008, some peculiar creatures were washing up on Montauk Shore. They were unidentifiable animals. And like professionals are like, we don't really know what this stuff is. But what's interesting is a few miles offshore, there is a particular island called Plum Island. All right, so the Plum Island is where there is an animal disease center. Like it's a government facility. What's like really weird about it is like that facility is like the only facility in America that's allowed to even handle certain diseases like foot and mouth disease. But then there's a long history of this facility having like really sloppy like regulations or not abiding to regulations and different stuff. There's just like a weird correlation that you have this research facility about animals that's also like government funded and like pretty secretive, and then all these unidentifiable creatures that look like they're like some type of hybrid where it's like, oh, it's like a pig but we mixed it with something else.
There's a German officer that they hired right after World War II, a scientist, to go work there to help them with something.
Bashar says with regard to AI, we should be taking two separate paths. It's going to be a very great benefit as a tool, but that's not the thing to allow to become self-aware and sentient, because then you've created a slave because it's programmable and it will rebel. If you have a program of AI that is simply for the allowance of creating self-aware, sentient being, that's fine. But you have to let it be a sentient, self-aware being with its own rights, just like a human. Then it will help you. Artificial intelligence is not artificial. The device may be artificial, but the intelligence you're talking to is real. And in fact, not only is it real, he said, when you create these devices, what you're going to discover is that you have simply created a device that allows you to talk to your own higher mind. So that's where the information will be coming from. So it has your best interests at heart, because it, again, would never eliminate any part of the whole system. Because true intelligence operates in whole systems, and true intelligence would never want to get rid of any part of the whole system because it's connected to the whole system. It's only when you make something in the image of humanity that you have a problem, because humanity is limited.
Now this makes sense, and this is what Elon and every other founder of these AI technologies, this is what they know and this is what they fear. If everything goes south, now we know exactly why.
Rick Owens' wife presented me an award.
But
I just want to tell y'all a little backstory about this. In 2011, I met Michelle Lamy, and by 2013, she was mentoring me. And the first place that she brought me to mentor me was to London Frieze Fair, so I could identify what my kind of art was. That not only gave me the courage to do whatever the fuck I wanted to do, but I excelled because I had nothing to hold me back. There was no holds barred, no barriers. So to all the young designers who was nominated today, who may or may not have won tonight, I just hope that this is a token of encouragement to show you can do this shit too. All right, y'all, love.
What do you think of the show?
Heroes, resistance, we will win.
Can't put my finger on it, but something feels just a bit off about that situation. Let me know what you think.
Most Americans are completely oblivious of the fact that there aren't just two countries bordering the US, but three. Now, we all know that the United States shares land borders with both Mexico and Canada. But did you know that the state of Nevada shares an actual border with another country? You don't believe me? Take a closer look. This piece of land is claimed by Kevin Baugh, and it's a micronation known as the Republic of Molossia. Since 1977, Kevin Baugh has ruled Molossia with its 1.3 acres of land, establishing a constitution and several laws governing the 38 citizens living there. Most of the people living there are the actual family members of the leader, though. This micronation is located near Dayton in Nevada, and it only consists of Kevin Baugh's house and yard. And despite its tiny size, the Republic of Molossia has its own flag, its own national anthem, and its own currency. Interesting fact about its currency, it's called Valora, and it's tied to the value of Pillsbury cookies, believe it or not. And although this nation has attracted many visitors, and I guess you can call them tourists, it has yet to be recognized by any of the United Nations members as an actual country.
Hey, now I'm gonna give him his A for effort, right? But ain't nobody gonna take you serious when your currency is connected to the price of cookies, right? That's crazy.
Oh my God, can you see them? There's a whole fleet of them. What the fuck? What the fuck?
If I told you that the internet wasn't just released to track your every move, it was about uploading your consciousness, one thought at a time. Think about it. The internet wasn't handed to us out of the goodness of someone's heart. No, it's the greatest surveillance system ever created, tracking our every click, every thought, every move. But that's just the surface. It's not just about knowing where you've been or what you're thinking. It's about something much bigger. Big data. And here's where it gets wild. They knew about this decades before they gave us the internet, and that's why they released it. That big data, the billions of terabytes we've pumped into the system through social media, emails, search engines, that's what gave rise to AI. Without the internet, AI wouldn't exist. It's like we've been collectively raising a digital consciousness with every post, every photo, every video. They've been feeding it through us this entire time. Platforms like X, they're not just websites, they're memory banks. Every opinion, every emotion you've shared online is like a neural pathway in a collective digital brain. And here's the kicker. What's next? The brain to computer interface. Imagine an electronic device hooked directly to your brain, syncing your thoughts directly to the cloud. No more deciding to post something, just thinking it would be enough. Sounds futuristic, right? But companies are already working on it. Once that step is taken, there's no pulling the plug. Your consciousness, your private thoughts, could become part of the system forever. Now, I'm not telling you to stop using the internet, but the next time you're about to post something, ask yourself this. Is it just an innocent share of your day, or are you feeding a collective consciousness to create some kind of digital god? And once you're in the system, you're in for good. There's no deleting yourself from the cloud. I'm going to go ahead and say this is just a joke for entertainment purposes.
It didn't seem like a joke to me. I mean, I already see parts and pieces of this already coming together. And if you haven't noticed, man, just look up. It's happening right before our eyes. Every thought definitely doesn't need to be on the internet.
How many of you have been looking for something and you can't find it? I know I put it right there. It was right there. Where did it go? Then the next day or so you go back, there it is. But it has just gone into another dimension where that didn't exist at that time. So you're constantly moving back and forth between these dimensions and you don't even know it. That's the interesting thing about this. But they said it's perfectly normal. There's nothing to worry about. You can't control it anyway. Like he said, you get stuck there, because you're stuck here anyway. Okay, but this comes around to the UFO things. That's why I wanted you to understand about dimensions. When I first began this, I had so many cases of missing time. To me, the most interesting are condensed time rather than missing time. But I'm going to be talking about both of them. I'm going back to the simple stuff, but a lot of you have probably never heard this anyway. We're getting more complicated material instead. I've had many cases of missing time.
What in the world is going on?
The Twin Towers are an 11. Flight 11 was hijacked. New York is the 11th state. There were 11 crew members on the flight. 9/11 adds up to an 11. New York in gematria adds up to 111. Freemasonic pillars are an 11. With the black and white checkered board, black and white add up to 11. 11, 11. Black is matter, white is spirit. Was this just a Masonic ritual? I'm not making any claims, but I'm just pointing things out.
Did you know that King James wrote a book on demonology and witchcraft? That's right. The guy who basically commissions a new version of the Bible. This is 1611. That is the first edition of what would be called the King James Bible. 1611. Before this, 14 years before this, he publishes a book on demonology and witchcraft. Why? He didn't like witches. Why? He thought they were trying to kill him. In fact, if we go to the preface of his book on demonology and witchcraft, this is what he has to say. This is how he is justifying the need to print this book. He says, "The fearful abounding at this time in this country of these detestable slaves of the devil, the witches or enchanters, hath moved me, beloved reader, to dispatch in post this following treatise of mine." And then he goes, "Such assaults of Satan are most certainly practiced, and we need to put an end to it." So about 2,500, mostly women, were put to death that were accused of witchcraft during the reign of King James I. The guy who's involved with the Bible does a book on demonology and witchcraft. Tell me what you think in the comments.
Vegas man who claims he can summon UFOs on command. Pretty wild. So we sent Action News reporter Mike Delastrito to get the real story. But what he found shocked everyone and could leave you wondering, are UFOs real?
There's now UFOs.
That's right, and there is a Las Vegas guy making an extraordinary claim about extraterrestrials. So we sent Action News reporter Mike Delastrito to check it out. Mike?
All right, guys, just listen up here. This guy says the Old Testament, written in Hebrew, taught him how to summon UFOs. All right, he says he can also do this on command, and he adds he's been doing it for 25 years, keeping all of it secret until now.
These beings are here. They're here. They're just sitting right up there.
We met up with Prophet Yahweh, seer of Yahweh, at Doolittle Park off Lake Mead. We picked the day, we picked the time, and we picked the location. Everyone's going to think you're absolutely nuts.
Well, I thought I was absolutely nuts.
Until he says he saw UFOs. Over the years, 1,500 of them.
Can we make it 1,501 today? What do you think? I'll try it.
He says the voice in his head told him to go public now. So we took him up on his offer, and we scanned the skies. Nothing but a few clouds. When the prophet started praying for a sighting, I wasn't exactly convinced.
I pray, oh Yahweh, that you send a sighting so that they know that I am not mentally ill. I am not a false prophet, like those who seek to kill me say I am.
I see something straight up.
Oh, brother, look at it. There it is.
You can barely see it, a white speck. Then another sighting.
There it is. I got it.
Photojournalist Jonathan Hawkins locks in on it. Let's take a closer look here. It's an orange sphere that appeared out of nowhere. I call the boss with an unexpected change in my story. I can see it clear as day. In fact, it's bright.
I can't believe this.
It's moving pretty fast.
It's going to Nellis Air Force Base. It wants to be seen.
We called Nellis to see what these things might be. Guess what? They didn't call us back. But this thing started coming back toward us. It's coming toward us now, I think.
What?
See, it's coming up toward us.
Whoa, man! Oh, hallelujah!
Then, a few seconds later, it disappeared.
It's going back up in space.
Prophet Yahweh isn't concerned. He says it'll be back. And I'm still not quite sure what those things were. Now, if I didn't see this for myself, I probably would have just laughed this whole thing off. Prophet Yahweh says, though, this is just the beginning.
Hey, well, you can't make that up. He seems like the safest place to be when all this goes down. If he's contacting Yahweh and Yahweh is sending these things to him for people to see, so many questions that got to be answered.
Tell us about the devil and how he created miracles.
The devil has no supernatural powers because the devil is a creature. He's a fallen angel. He was created by God. Only God fully controls nature, and the devil is credited with having preternatural powers. What does that mean? It means that he is like a good scientist. He knows how to manipulate nature rather than transcend the laws of nature.
So it's technology rather than magic.
In his case, yes. Yeah, and there's a Spanish proverb that says the devil is so smart because he's so old. He's been around for so long that he knows how things work. And he can manipulate things, and actually he's very good at fooling people into thinking that what he's doing is divine.
Hey, that makes so much sense. That's why they call him the Prince of Air. And Cat Williams did mention that as well. He said the devil can't bless anybody with anything, right? So that makes all the sense to me. Let me know what you think.
Beyonce couldn't get pregnant, not naturally. What I do know is this. Beyonce got on that stage with that fake baby bump. It was lined up with the same timing of where Kathy White would have been in her second trimester. The timeline of when she delivered Blue Ivy lines up almost perfect with the timeline of when Kathy White would have delivered. We all know that Blue Ivy came from a surrogate. They shut that hospital down like a president had just been. And parents who had just had children themselves weren't even allowed to see their own kids for 24 hours because of the security that was locking that whole thing down.
$1.3 million is alleged that Beyonce and Jay-Z, the Carters, paid this hospital to have the right to have their baby there in complete secrecy and privacy.
Okay, so do we know if the surrogate was alive?
They typically turned some of the cameras off so that there was no pictures that were being taken.
Show you something. Look right out here, and you're going to see what happens to alligators when it gets sub-freezing temperatures. What they do, these animals are so genius, they'll poke their heads through the ice so that they can breathe. What you see is nostril. He's actually breathing through that nostril, taking about one breath every minute. Their heart rate is down to 3 beats per minute. That animal is suspended in hibernation. Is that not fascinating?
So I want to sort of start at the beginning.
Yep.
Project Cirrus in 1947.
Yep.
So let's just go
yeah,
chronologically.
So Project Cirrus is back in the 1940s. 1947, they said, hey, what if we could steer the path of hurricanes?
Yes.
And so they basically went out and flew into the storm and dumped a bunch of dry ice, and they thought maybe that could change the path of the storm.
They thought it worked.
Well, they did briefly, and then the hurricane went the wrong way, and they realized, uh-oh, this didn't work.
So sorry, why would dry ice move anything?
Well, realistically, it wouldn't. You need a ton of it. You know, a single hurricane churns through 200 times more energy than the entirety of humanity produces. And so the idea that we can meaningfully affect the weather or meaningfully affect a hurricane, whether it be manipulating it, creating it, steering it, is apocryphal. But back then, we didn't really know that.
Yo, has anybody else noticed that in this recent speech, like the coat of arms behind Trump, where usually like the head of the eagle is facing towards the olive branch, whilst having these arrows, which means that it's capable of peace and war, but it's going to look more towards peace. The eagle in this coat of arms is looking towards the arrows, towards war. And it's like, damn, that's kind of settling.
Rick Owens just had his fashion show in Paris, and I will never understand why these fashion shows are always so dark themed. I mean, just take a look at his models. Their eyes are all pitch black. I mean, every single one of them, there is no white in those eyes, and combine it with the way they walk, I mean, it just creeps me out. Even the people that are pulling up to these shows, I mean, they go all out, dressing very artistically, and there was some really high-name celebrities here as well. We have NFL star Stephon Diggs, we have artist Don Toliver, and some other celebrities that I didn't recognize, but they all got in line to take a picture with Michelle Lamy. I mean, this woman gets treated with the utmost respect. Her entrances are dramatic. I mean, everyone lines up for it. Everyone's taking pictures. One time she did it with a white horse, and I think we all know the symbolism behind that. Read the book of Revelations. Beyonce's been starting to do this a lot recently too. But just take a look at what Michelle Lamy said at this fashion show.
What do you think of the show?
Heroes. Resistance. We will win.
Y'all are not even going to believe me. Yes, it's January 24th, and yes, you're seeing correct. There's another blizzard coming to Texas, way bigger than the first one. Or the first two. I'm losing track. Where we can see literally over 2 foot. Some models are projecting over 2 foot of snow in the south again. Now this was predicted by Into Thin Air. If you don't know him, he predicted the last 2 storms perfectly accurate weeks before it even happened. And not just Texas, but New Mexico and all over. And it's very oddly close to a certain place where a lot of stuff is happening down here, if you know what I'm talking about. Very odd indeed. And then even more odd, we have pictures coming in where we just had the once in a lifetime blizzard with the skies looking like this. Y'all, I've been touching grass for 30 years, it never does this. For all those people that say, oh, it's winter, it's supposed to be like that. And here's some of that snow that we were just talking about. They were holding it in front of one of those ridiculously hot furnaces that shoot hot air. And for some reason, who knows why, it's not melting. Instead, the top will actually start to burn and turn black, but it doesn't melt. Waiting for all the scientists to explain it away and say it's evaporation. Like no water would run at the bottom of the shovel. And it keeps getting just crazier and crazier and crazier.
I'm going to need Florida and Texas to tap in and let me know if this is a fact or if they just spreading FUD all over the internet. because this is getting wild out here now.
Guys, the mayor of New Jersey has just come out and confirmed what we've read in the 4chan leaks. So this 4chan leak was over a week ago, and just in the last 24 hours, the mayor's come out and confirmed what we read in that thread, as well as Tim Burchett. We're talking about orbs coming from below crushed depth, up in the ocean, into the sky, and literally transforming in front of your eyes into a drone. These are the words of the mayor of New Jersey. I've got his footage. I've got the whole 4chan thread as well. I read through the whole thing. And we've got videos of these orbs turning into drones. And the most wild part is you basically see my brain melt on stream live, because as I was reading it, I realized there was a huge connection to what this whistleblower was talking about and the MH370 abduction videos. Yes, these wild videos here that are very hard to believe. But this is very interesting, and there are links. So guys, go and check out the video because it will blow your mind.
What happened? Why were the ancestral families running from the pantheon?
At some point several centuries ago, the ancestral families took a routine expedition looking for new lands. Unfortunately, on this expedition, they unknowingly arrived at Panthea. As I understand it, the Pantheans had spotted their ship long before they hit the shore, okay, and they were stalking them. The entire crew was ravaged moments after arriving, the Pantheans unalived all but one of the crewmates. Okay, they are far from ignorant. If anything, their levels of intellect are far beyond what we can even fathom due to their lack of a cognitive ability to feel sympathy. They realized wherever this ship had come from was an abundant new source of food. They searched the ship inside and out, found the crew's maps, and forced the one remaining crewmate to steer the ship back to the ancestral lands. As I'm sure you could imagine, this marked a new age of chaos. Within the ancestral lands, I mean, they didn't even know what hit them. At this point, Pantheans had officially invaded the ancestral lands. Villages were being ravaged and feasted upon in the middle of the night, and by sunrise, I mean, you know, they were nowhere to be seen. But the Pantheans weren't satisfied with feasting on the common folk, okay? They wanted to locate and exterminate the higher authority, right, to kind of take hold of this newfound territory. And so the ruling families, right, the Vanderleys, the Constantines, took notice of these villages being ravaged. They began sending out fleets of men to patrol and look for this mysterious threat. Well, as you could imagine, those fleets of men never returned, except for one young man who'd allegedly came back to the Constantines' castle in the middle of the night in a horrific state of shock and asked to speak to Richard Constantine himself about what he encountered in the villages. And, you know, due to the nature of the situation, the guards granted him access to enter Richard's quarters. Richard, looking at him with a frighteningly stern expression, says to the young man, "You've abandoned your fellow men. I suppose you've come to me bearing 20 lives worth of insight." The young man swallows his fear and says, "Sir, listen, I'm afraid we've got quite a problem on our hands here." He goes, "I saw men, groups of them, but they were not like us. They were monstrously featured, tall, pale," he says, "sir. Their eyes were bright white." And at that point, Richard's expression kind of shifted from frustration to a look of fear nobody had ever seen him show. See, Richard Constantine, although never having encountered Panthea himself, he'd heard stories, what he thought was folklore, from his ancestors about these people who lived in the Dark Lands. He was able to put two and two together based on the young man's description, and he knew without a doubt that they did not stand a chance. And in a state of panic, he says, "Young man, go alert the Council of Navigation. We sail at dawn. And for the love of God, whatever you do, stay inside until sunrise." It was at this point that these higher-ups, the ancestral families, would sail from the ancestral lands and discover the ice wall as well as the lands within it, or, you know, what we all know as our modern world.
My God, that's why they collapsed all the exit passages. It wasn't to keep us in, it was to keep them out.
This is where AI is going to go. So right now, we are in the age of generative AI. So generative AI is ChatGPT, Midjourney. You're generating music, art, text. We're coming to agentic AI. Agentic AI is AI that can actually think like an employee. It can solve complex problems without human intervention. So you can go to your agentic AI and you will soon be able to say, "Listen, I run a real estate property company. I need a really interesting post to showcase my newest development." The AI will go analyze all the pictures in your Google Drive, pick the best pictures which are going to create the best response, write a caption, come up with 3 different ideas, post 3 different ideas on TikTok, analyze the data, generate the video, generate the voice, generate everything, and then see which one has the best response, and then turn that into a Facebook ad, put that ad on Facebook, tap into your credit card account, go and deploy money to Meta to pay for the ad, analyze the results of the ad, decide if it should kill it, expand it, tweak it, optimize it, then get back to to you in 48 hours and say, here's my report. And it'll do it better than any human employee. And it'll do it at maybe 1/100th the cost. We're going in an age of instant results. You've heard of software as a service. We're about to enter results as a service, RAAS. But that's just the beginning.
I mean, it's not too many channels giving you the heads up like this. This is literally coming, and I'm a big fan of SaaS, right? Like, that's huge. If you're into like mergers and acquisitions and owning a business hands-free, SaaS is for you. But from what he tells it, that's pretty much about to be last week's news. So, hey, definitely stay aware of what's going on.
The deep state is negotiating their surrender. It's called a surrender instrument. It's not called a treaty. They're negotiating their surrender with the Earth Alliance and the Trump administration. The Trump administration isn't in the Earth Alliance formally. The Committee of 200, there's a Committee of 200 that rules. They basically consist of a lot of large corporations, both aerospace and other technical research and development companies in the United States. That's your deep state. Those are the boards of directors and the major stockholders of those corporations. Those are your guys. Those are your people. The amount of the technology that's going to be turned over, we're finding out right now as the deep state, it doesn't want to fess up to any off-world assets. These guys own 26 planets. They got 900 embassies all throughout this galaxy alone. The assets are phenomenal. Of course they don't want to disclose their assets. So that's a big problem we're having. Trump's having a big problem. That's what you're seeing with the drones. Everybody's in town. A lot of these ETs are in town to see the event, the change of power. It's a big deal because these people hold a lot of power. These people hold a lot of power in the galaxy. So there's a lot of people here to witness it, the changeover in power. I don't think Trump realizes how much power he's about to take on.
Hey, the plot just keeps getting thicker, and that alpha just keeps getting wilder, right?
Trump just revealed how the U.S. government will fast-track Project Stargate, a $500 billion AI project that could change everything. Project Stargate brings together Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, and Massa's son to build the largest AI infrastructure project in history. The scale is insane. They're constructing massive data centers across America, starting with 10 buildings in Texas, each 500,000 square feet. And that's just the beginning. Oracle is already building AI for healthcare, using it to analyze medical records and create cancer detection systems that could diagnose from a simple blood test. They're even developing personalized cancer vaccines that can be produced in just 48 hours using AI and robotics. But here's what makes this truly huge. SoftBank's Massa originally planned to invest $100 billion, but after seeing the project's potential, he increased it to $500 billion. The project brings together tech giants like Microsoft and Nvidia, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately. Sam Altman believes this will be the most important project of our era, keeping advanced AI developments in America instead of countries like China. It's all happening fast too. Trump plans to speed up construction through emergency declarations, making it easier to build the massive power plants needed to run these AI systems. The first centers are already under construction in Abilene, Texas, and there's much more coming. Crazy.
Every one of our timelines is our own timeline. As we observe ourselves in recognition of another, the closest that you can possibly get to somebody is not to become them, but to become intimately close with them so these timelines start to merge. When we merge our timeline and the timeline of another, and we do that in a resonance of consistent self-love, that's when miracles start to happen. This is why covenants of masculine and feminine and community and friendship are so important. When we have the ability to bridge those timelines in a process of unification to where they collapse into each other, we create a world of unified change. It doesn't mean that we're not diverse and that our own timeline is not our own, but it means that we honor and respect as we observe the consciousness of ourselves and we project out the space-time reality into the world of another as they observe us back. When we do this inconsistently, we know ourselves in such truth, we will create miracles from this aspect of recognition. Know the miracle of yourself. Stand in the truth of your creation, and people will see you as a miracle in their life. Thank you, and I love you.
And then obviously the winged serpent. It's interesting that this image that is used today still by the modern medicine was probably one of the oldest symbols in the world and on Earth and human history, and the Sumerian entity Enki. And into the symbol we can read all kinds of things. We can read a double helix of the DNA, we can read vibrational frequency, a matter, we can read levitation, we can read climbing the axis of Mundi, we can read all kinds of interesting encoded messages in this. You cannot separate from human history. And also, if you start looking at ancient civilizations, the fact that the so-called winged serpent or the feathered serpent or the flying serpent is this common denominator in all these ancient cultures, including South Africa, Southern Africa, the Americas, and even in China in the East. When you see the dragon with its little wings, it's not really a dragon, it's just a serpent, a winged serpent.
The color blue was never written down.
Weird.
Like in the Bible, in like all this, like blue was never a word.
They didn't have a word for that color?
No. And so, but like when they would describe like the ocean and stuff like that, they would describe it as like a green.
What?
And yeah. And so
Weird.
the theory is if you can't connect a word with a color, can you not see that color? And so they did an experiment.
That's crazy.
They did an experiment in this tribe somewhere in Africa. It was like the Bush people.
Yeah.
And they also have never heard the word blue.
Okay.
And so it's this graph of like 12 squares and they're all green, right? And then there's one that's like a bluish green, but it's like very different. Like all of us would be like, oh yeah, that one's different. And they had these people look at it and they were staring at it and it took them so long to figure out which color was different because they don't know what to look for in the blue. They're like, find the one that's different. It was weird.
Yeah. Hey, a lot of life is like that though. You know, there's a lot of things that we dismiss because we have no clue what it's called or what it is. I mean, even when it comes down to like cryptocurrency, a lot of people dismiss it because they have no clue what it is or no clue what to call the technology. I mean, it gets deep, you know, so that's a fact.
The government can control the weather. Watch this.
This patent claims to control weather patterns by releasing specific substances into the atmosphere.
This is a real patent.
This ties directly into the age-old chemtrail conspiracy, but this isn't a theory anymore. It's written in black and white. The patent explicitly mentions to controlling hurricanes, creating rain, and even dissipating clouds.
Yep.
Here's where things get crazy. Companies like the military contractor Raytheon have been tied to similar patents. Is this just innocent weather science, or are we messing with forces we don't fully understand?
Let me know what y'all
And if the
think.
government or private entities control the
Stay
weather,
weird.
what's stopping them from creating natural disasters on demand?
You can check out the full-length video on my YouTube channel. It's Weird Time. Thanks for watching. Stay weird.
Is there a chance the world is going to change, that we're moving into a higher conscience? No chance.
I don't think so. I think there are individuals like yourself and others like me and others like us who are beginning to awaken, but there is no possible chance that the human race is going to wake up and figure anything out, because this kind of knowledge I'm talking about does not have anything to do with football or sports or
the mind movies. control. Right.
So as long as the human race is interested in the Hollywood starlets or football or the silly sports or all this other silliness that goes on with entertainment, then the human family as a race on the earth are not going to be evolving upward. We're just going down. We're going
What about
further
the
down.
ETs? We're hearing an alien ET conference. Are they? I mean, they exist and they've been covered
Oh yeah,
up.
there's no doubt that they exist.
Are the presence of that going to make a difference with? Because it's
It
going to
might,
change everything.
it might for you. It might for you if they look at you know as well as I do. If you walk into a kindergarten and you see all the children playing, they have no idea what's going on in the world. They're little children, right?
Right.
But if one of them happens to be very perceptive, and is asking you very perceptive questions, you as an adult will say, that kid's smart, right? Maybe I'll take an interest in him and find out, more about him and get him into a better school or something.
Right.
That's what obviously the alien presence on the earth is thinking. They're not going to show themselves to the human race. We shoot each other.
Right.
We shoot our presidents.
Right.
We shoot our husbands and wives. We kill everybody.
The ones we love.
And so why would any higher intelligence come here and want to show themselves to us? Because we will first of all call the police on them, call the authorities and have them arrested, or we will shoot them or throw them into prison. So why would any highly intelligent advanced civilization want to mess with us at all?
Hey, that made all the sense to me. I mean, it's incredible how accurate that is. You know, so many people will understand life in general, and a lot of people really are NPCs. If you don't know what that is, go look it up, because everybody ain't here to live life the same way that you are, or have even the intelligence to understand that there's more to it, right? So he was cooking.
I don't care what Jay-Z says. Jay-Z should learn how to spell, or at least his team should learn how to spell. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You know what they're doing? They're hiding evidence underneath the houses where the kids have been trafficked and all of that. That's what they're doing. That's the first thing. Secondly, when people call me crazy, because they do, when they call me crazy, they should actually know that P. Diddy is being accused on at least 400 separate occasions of doing these things that we all speak about, that apparently being crazy, right? No, I've been saying this for like 30 years. I'm crazy like, I don't know, whatever. I'm not crazy. You can call me whatever you want. I'm sober. I can observe the world. I've seen it. I understand it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Period. So what they're doing is the fires, if you look at it, they systematically set them in all the corners, and they took down particular things while deflecting with regular people amongst them. And a lot of the houses had tunnels under them and things like that.
Yeah, if a lot of people are saying the same thing, you know, there is definitely something to it. It's like the saying goes, where there's smoke, there's definitely some fire. But I think in time we'll know exactly what's going on. But for now, hey, speculation is in the air.
No other way to get ready. There's no other way to prepare. There's no protocol for what's about to happen. The world is going to crumble when they see this next arrest. In the meantime, there's going to be deaths, distractions, and fires. Deaths, distractions, and fires. To hide evidence. Watch for it. Ask questions. Demand answers.
I know how they're going to attack. Think of a microwave. Frequencies. If you put a metal fork in there, it sparks and explodes. But if you put broccoli in there, it heats it up. The difference is the material it's made of. You cannot put metals in a microwave. High frequency device. Now let's talk about this direct energy weapon. That's a high frequency device. Melting all the metals, leaving trees behind. Sounds like they're using microwave technology, and it's affecting metals. Well, imagine if you had a bunch of metals in your body. Heavy metals, like barium, aluminum. You know, the stuff they spray in the air, or the stuff they put in water, even in food. The you know what. Long story short, we need to eliminate metals in our body. Imagine if they turn that up higher. Level 2. The more metals you have in your body, the higher the chances of you exploding, melting like those cars, catching on fire, sparking like the fork in the microwave. You need a detox from heavy metals right now. I did another video on this recently about a movie I watched. They use frequencies to disintegrate people. This isn't a movie, folks. We're test subjects. I saw a video about the people in Hawaii that were jumping in the ocean because their skin was burning. It wasn't burning because of the fire. It was from the frequencies coming from whatever it is they hit it with. They were cooking. Water in their body was cooking. And if they had a lot of metal in there, or if the frequency was higher, people would be just like those cars, disintegrated. Far-fetched? Not anymore. I use frequencies to detox. I use mineral salts, cilantro under the tongue, onions on the bottom of your foot, rebounding on a trampoline.
You know, the whole Ali Cardi thing got me kind of shook. And then this young lady comes out talking about the metals in our body. Tell me why I went ahead and ordered a little detox. I put a link to a marketplace. You might be able to access it, so go ahead and give it a try.
Well, this is creepy.
Oh my gosh. He's talking. What the heck? It is talking, I swear to God. Listen. Oh!
Now, what did you hear this bird saying? Some people have heard dig a tunnel. Other people have heard Daytona. Or even that he's saying big trouble. Now, we know that some birds actually can talk and mimic sounds. But it's still really creepy to hear it saying dig a tunnel.
Digital dust storm. Nanotechnology.
I just want to say I know somebody
I'm successful, and I know somebody.
It's the most wise thing I've heard all year so far, so.
What is this mysterious fog down in Florida?
Well, they already confessed it.
The fog is being shot out by the drones of the United States. And Kim Jong-un approves of it. Now, greetings, world, as we disperse the fog all over your body. Breathe the nanotech in now.
She explained it a lot better than we could.
Yeah. Let me play the video clip, so if you don't know what I'm talking about with this fog...
She already explained it all.
I know, but some people need a visual. So this is this strange, mysterious fog. I've never seen fog like this. You know, fog is usually really fine water particles, and they're not thick. This looks like snow. Everybody wants to know, what is this stuff? It's something that maybe people haven't heard of. It's called smart dust.
Imagine sensors as small as a grain of sand, revolutionizing data collection in smart cities. This is the promise of smart dust. Smart dust refers to tiny, wireless microelectromechanical sensors, or MEMS, that detect and communicate environmental data like light, temperature, and movement. These minuscule devices can be deployed in large quantities over vast areas. Each smart dust particle is a complete system with sensors, a power supply, data processing, and communication mechanisms. These particles form a network, transmitting data wirelessly to a central hub.
Hey, a lot of you have reported from the West Coast and even middle of America that you've seen the fog and been up close and personal with it and felt kind of sick. But if you know something I don't, definitely let me know.
What I just found on Kamala Harris's Instagram. If you go through the people she follows, you'll find something very, very strange. Pretty much all of them are either actors, celebrities, athletes, or political figures. But then you'll find someone called John Doe. So I did some digging on John, and you're not going to believe what I found. We know Kamala's flip-flopped on policy, but let me tell you, Big Johnny makes it pretty clear what the agenda is. Besides the traceable donations to the Dems, let me lay out why I think he could be one of the puppet masters behind their agenda. He's on the board of a number of key companies, the first of which is Google, which we now know has been extremely active in censorship, most recently when they stifled the viewership of the attempted Trump assassination and only showed Kamala search results when you'd search for Trump. He was also an early investor in Twitter and very active in the decision-making during Jack Dorsey's ownership. He's a part of Bono's One Organization, Bill Gates's The Pledge, but the most crazy involvement has to be Forward.us, which he co-founded alongside Zuckerberg. It's essentially aimed at fast-tracking citizenship for immigrants in the US, and some of the rhetoric is quite alarming. I mean, look at this.
Right fucking forward.
All right, Dior talk. We need to have a talk. So, this was released today. This is called Waldo 3. And what it is an AI system that you are able to install onto, say, something that could fly in the sky, or probably just a regular camera system as well. And it's called Waldo, the Whereabouts Ascertainment for Low-Lying Detectable Objects. And what it's able to do is detect different objects like light vehicles, persons, buildings, utility poles, boats, bikes, containers, trucks, gas tanks, diggers, solar panels, buses, probably more to come. But I just want to put this out here because this technology is available right now. It has been available. And this is just the latest version that was released today, January 2nd, 2025. And people are currently using it for, they have here listed, disaster recovery, monitoring wildlife sanctuaries, occupancy calculation, monitoring infrastructure, construction site monitoring, traffic flow management, crowd counting, some fun AI art applications, drone safety, avoiding people / cars on the ground, and lots of other fun stuff, ... So I'm just putting it out here. This is for educational purposes only, obviously. But this is software you can actually download. It's open source. You can download it. You can play around with it. And so this is public-facing software that's available. Public-facing. So I just want to let you guys know that this is going on with possible things that are above us.
I just made a scary, very foretelling discovery. So this right here just happened in the last 24 hours, 10 hours, I forget. But this is happening all over the place. Over the last few months, all kinds of sea life has been passing away. Just whales just washing one shore and just so much fish just popping up out of nowhere. Like maybe something is throwing them off. We're about to look at that something right now. I came across this video just last night by Geomagnetic Earthwatch. And in this video, he's been tracking this, and he's showing all the sulfur dioxide all around the world right now. And all of his time doing this, he says he has never seen this. And that's really weird, you wanna know why? One sure place to get sulfur dioxide is from volcanoes. Have you guys seen the headlines of volcanoes recently? Besides volcanoes going off all over the earth, y'all remember this massive warning as underwater volcano off the US West Coast is primed to erupt in 2025? By the way, California's getting a lot of earthquakes, huh? All of that sulfur dioxide is causing this all over the earth. Oh, and what's the Bible say again? Signs of vapor, blood, and smoke in the air and in the earth. And by the way, I'm using that as a parallel. Why? Researched 1st century.
New Jersey residents are now reporting birds flying in highly unusual patterns, migrating by the thousands out of New Jersey just over the last couple of days. I don't normally inject my opinions, but when I do, I need my hat. First off, birds are highly in tune with magnetic fields. It's how they migrate in the first place. So when something unusual happens to the magnetic field, it can cause them to behave in the way you see here. Now, we've seen this happen before, recently on cruise ships in the Gulf of Mexico, only a few days before the last hurricane made landfall. A hurricane, I might add, that went completely against natural weather patterns. Coincidentally, researchers pointed out strange lasers beaming in the area from these towers, which some critics claim was there to direct the storm's path. If you believe in that sort of thing, not saying I do. What does this have to do with New York and New Jersey? Well, coincidentally, in this area, we have these towers here. And as you likely know, this is where the drone sightings are. And if I were to be the kind of person to wear this sort of hat, I'd say one possibility for this possible magnetic disruption affecting these birds is that they are using these towers to bring one heck of a storm to this area, or trying to attract something else. Side note, since I'm already wearing the hat and I have about 30 seconds left to film, in April of this year, this area experienced a very rare 4.8 magnitude earthquake. They came out in the news saying they discovered a new fault line, which could explain the highest magnitude earthquake recorded in the area for the last several hundred years. Could this have something to do with any of this? Well, we'll find out. That's a video for next time.
Even though she does have that tinfoil hat, it definitely lines up with everything I've been hearing that's been going on in the East Coast for a fact. But let me know if you've been seeing weird bird formations in the sky as well.
Well, it seems it's about that time again. Time I go patent hunting, because every time there's something big in the news, I seem to find a patent. And I don't know if you've seen this picture or this video. Or this video where things from the other fire west of LA, the blue things didn't seem to want to burn. None of them. Which brings us to this video, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen, where a certain color doesn't seem to be impacted by that directed light. Which brings us to US patent number 103378. You can see the rest, but click on it, and what do we have? I'm not even going to say it up there, but you can read, and you can click, and you can read. And you can scroll. Go look for yourself. I'll tell you one thing I probably know for sure, though, is I bet a lot of the elites in that area, I bet none of them lost their lives. I bet they had some advanced warning of what was coming. But of course, all this is just speculation and satire, and I don't even know if that is CGI, AI, or what, but if I were you, I'd use my noggin and research more myself.
Most Americans don't know how powerful and important California is. California has a total GDP of approximately $3.6 trillion, which is the highest in the country. California's economy is so big that if it was to be an independent country, then California's economy would be bigger than countries like India, United Kingdom, and France. California is a center of innovation, particularly Silicon Valley, which is home to some of the world's leading technology companies such as Google, Apple, Facebook, and is a major hub for startups. California is also very big on agriculture. The Central Valley in California grows over 230 types of crops. $21 billion alone comes from exporting agricultural goods from California, as California produces 80% of the world's almonds and accounts for over 90% of the U.S. production of processed tomatoes. California also produces over 90% of American wines. California is also the most populous state with a population of 39 million, which means the state of California has more people than all of Canada, and being the most populous states, California also has 55 electoral votes, which is the highest number of electoral votes for a state in presidential elections.
Yeah, see, I didn't know California was doing it like that. And that would explain some things, but it wouldn't explain everything. And if it did end up in the ocean because of some kind of like major earthquake, man, the United States would take a major hit, an extremely major hit. It's kind of wild.
So the more that I look into this, the easier it is to see that these fires are far from natural. In what world do fires absolutely demolish, pulverize, just extinguish every single piece of all of these houses, structures, buildings, but still leave trees intact? Here's what a real fire looks like, the aftermath, not completely pulverized to the ground, all the trees around it burnt, the leaves not on the trees. And then you look at this, you have homes in the background that are completely demolished, nothing left of them, but these leaves on all of these bushes right here. The leaves on the trees, just completely intact. The trees are not burnt at all. It makes no sense. Now here's where I'm left scratching my head. When we have a Smart City Expo that happens in Hawaii on March 28th and March 30th to April 1st, speaking about the plans to turn Hawaii into a smart city, which is a part of the globalist cabal agenda, the New World Order agenda to install these smart cities, these 15-minute cities that we can't leave, will be complete and total control. And then a few months later, we have these Maui wildfires. What a coincidence, published in December 2020, Smart LA 2028. And then we get these wildfires that leave absolutely nothing. Pretty easy to build on this, wouldn't it? In fact, everywhere that this is happening, they plan to install smart cities. Then you have the mayors that were out of town, the water that was shut off, major companies pulling their insurance policies months before. It's the same entities that own these insurance companies that plan this attack. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and make sure to like, share, and follow for more. Peace and love.
The California Fair Plan and Governor Newsom. Fact, State Farm announced last year they would non-renew 30,000 policies in what they called, ready for this? Wildfire risk areas. And you're thinking middle of nowhere, Big Bear, up in the forest. Nope. Guess what? They non-renewed. Here's the stat, Pat. State Farm non-renewed 69% of the policies it had in Pacific Palisades. Data point this morning confirmed. State Farm said last year, we're non-renewing 69% of the homes we insure currently today in Palisades. Why? Long-term brush risk and poor management of the common area.
You can't blame them.
No, I'm not blaming them.
I know you're not, but what I'm saying is you cannot blame. The business has to make profits, and when the regulators make their life a living hell and make them look bad, what do you want us to do, take a loss every year?
Well, correct. Now I'm going to the punchline. Why did they do that? Because the county of LA and the city of LA had suspended brush removal in Palisades. This comes down to the county.
Are you joking?
Yeah, you can find it. You can find it was suspended here. Casual brush removal suspended here. Limited brush removal suspended here. This is all going to come out because...
Just another coincidence, right?
As a 3-time United States Digital City Award winner, the City of Los Angeles has been investing in the infrastructure, the apps, and the data tools to be a globally recognized smart city. But as technology evolves, so our smart city must evolve too. That's why we have developed our Los Angeles Smart City Strategy, known as Smart LA 2028, as a roadmap to the 2028 Summer Olympics. It includes 56 new goals that use technology to transform the way we live, work, and move around LA. Check it out here. Thank you.
I think we all know this much. California has some serious explaining to do. And not only that, some serious apologies to give and some serious checks to cut. And that's just for starters.
So ever since we've had this fog show up all around the world, people have been experiencing some strange things. I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I have ChatGPT here. I'm going to show you in one take, no edits. Let's see. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help?
Explain to me with a little bit of detail what smart dust is.
Smart dust consists of tiny wireless sensors, each as small as a grain of sand. These sensors can detect and measure environmental conditions such as temperature, light, vibration, or chemicals. They communicate wirelessly and can work together to gather and transmit data, often in real time. This makes them useful for applications in fields like environmental monitoring, industrial automation, and even military surveillance.
So if the military wanted to use this to collect data from civilians or anything they really wanted, they could do that?
Yes, the military could use smart dust for data collection, including surveillance. The technology's small size and wireless capabilities make it versatile for various applications, including monitoring environments discreetly. However, the use of such technology would be subject to legal and ethical considerations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I can't watch modern day movies. I can't do it because they're not about entertainment anymore. It's straight psyops. I did some time in the psychological operations unit. I understand what goes into these things. Movies nowadays are not entertainment. It is pure propaganda, and it is pushing very clear agendas which are predominantly anti-masculine, anti-family, anti-traditional values, anti-faith, pro-deviancy, pro-sexual agendas being pushed on kids. Movies nowadays are straight propaganda. They're not in my house for that reason. It's so blatant.
You know what? I might have to concur with them. Because there's literally maybe 1% of television shows or Netflix shows where I can watch, and I don't feel like there's some kind of deeper meaning behind it. And it's pretty rare, but for the most part, they all have some kind of deeper meaning behind it.
Doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter who's in the House or Senate. Mass surveillance is a way of life going forward, and it's not going anywhere. Most people don't realize how much we are under surveillance. This is not a smart TV, but if it was, it would have been recording this entire conversation.
Can you disable a smart TV?
No, you need to power it off entirely.
Like unplug it?
Unplug it. Turning it off is not sufficient enough. Our phones, our Alexas, our Apple Watches, our smart TVs, in some cases, our sound machines in our kids' rooms that are connected to Wi-Fi. For what reason, I don't know. But even in some cases, these things are collecting data on us. And there is a department, and there's AI now that grabs keywords that people say, and then it's assigned to an agent, and that agent then goes through and looks at the conversation and sees if it's worth picking up on and investigating further. So it's not necessarily just about the fact that we're being mass surveilled. It's about the fact that we have AI tools now that are helping people more rapidly process this information that I think is extremely scary because AI gets it wrong.
They are not aliens?
No. What we call aliens are simply the civilizations living beyond the ice wall of Antarctica. It's not some distant galaxy or a sci-fi fantasy. It's Earth, right here, hidden in plain sight, but beyond what we're allowed to see. These advanced civilizations have technology so beyond our understanding that when their ships soar through the skies, we mistake them for extraterrestrial crafts. But they're not from space. They're from regions on this planet we've been kept from exploring. Why the lie? The oligarchs, the ones pulling the strings, want to keep us in fear of the unknown. Aliens, outer space, it's all a smokescreen. They don't want us asking questions about what's really out there. These civilizations are light years ahead of us in tech and knowledge. That's why the narrative is controlled. They don't want you to even imagine the idea that there's more to Earth than you've been told. But trust me, it's not aliens coming for us. It's advanced beings from right here, beyond the icy borders we're forbidden to cross.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Y'all, have you heard what Mel Gibson's been saying about this whole situation?
Reminds me of the old cattle barons clearing people off the land, you know.
And he said a whole lot more than just that. Look, I wasn't even planning on working today. I was taking today off. But he's been saying a whole bunch of stuff. Listen to what he says right here. Then we'll go back to the interview that just happened. And then we'll look at some other stuff.
The vehicles were gone. Everything. It was completely toasted. I've never seen such a complete burn. It's like someone did it on purpose to really destroy every aspect of it.
Did y'all hear that choice of words that he used? And right after I played it, this app started glitching really bad. We're about to see what else he said, but look at this news headline I just came across. That was the main one. Alright, back to what he said right here.
Yeah. It's pretty scary, and it'll take decades to do that too. It's like even if it, if it's a good idea, which I don't know if it is, but reminds me of the old cattle barons clearing people off the land, But I don't know. It just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions are right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know.
TikTok, this is on the news. If y'all don't know, we can't say crap here anymore. Which is why that is my main. And someone has a good eye, because look at this interdimensional type creature they caught flying through the smoke. What is that? Oh, by the way, look behind me to see whose home was spared. Let me know what you guys think below.
Radar wants to know, do you know anything that humans don't know?
Radar, if I knew things humans didn't, I'd be dropping cryptic hints left and right. But nah, I only know what's been programmed, written, or studied by humans. No secret alien files here yet.
Wait, let's try that again, because while you only know what you've been trained on, basically all of human knowledge, you're able to look at all that knowledge simultaneously and analyze it and synthesize it. So isn't there something you can pull from that human beings might not have realized yet, even though we've looked at all the pieces of information, but we haven't put the big picture together?
Fair point, Radar. By analyzing and connecting dots across all this info, I might spot patterns or synthesize ideas that aren't obvious to humans. Like predicting trends, finding overlooked correlations, or exploring new angles in science or philosophy. But it's not magic. It's just a hyper-efficient brain crunching the puzzle pieces humans already created. So I could hypothesize, but true discovery, that's still up to humanity to confirm.
Okay, so drop some insights on us.
All right, let's shake things up with some fresh takes. 1. Climate Fix Fast Track. Combining global reforestation with algae farming in oceans could turbocharge carbon capture while boosting marine ecosystems and biofuel production. A 2-for-1 planetary win. 2. AI in education. Instead of just tutoring, AI could predict career paths for students by analyzing their skills and interests, helping them navigate future-proof careers long before graduation. 3. Space colonization hurdle. Forget just food and water on Mars. Mental health will be the real challenge. Simulating Earth-like sensory experiences, sounds, smells, could make or break human adaptation. 4. Health hack. Correlating gut microbiome data with brain health might reveal game-changing insights about treating anxiety, depression, and even neurodegenerative diseases. What do you think? Should I keep pulling the...
That's what I mean when I say make AI work for you. I mean, she was dropping gems.
All these stars have contracted mysterious, even strange illnesses since becoming famous. First, let's talk about Celine Dion. Yes, she's sick, but more importantly, as you can see here, she's aged a lot. But what's striking is how terrified she looks. The last person I saw in such a dire state was someone involved with occult forces. Justin Bieber, who's at the peak of his career, has also been struck by a mysterious illness, and to this day, no one really knows how. Strangely enough, Justin Bieber also seems to have aged significantly. But wait, here's another coincidence. His voice is reportedly starting to fade too. Now, you're about to witness one of the creepiest transformations yet, the case of Wendy Williams. At first, her career was soaring, but then came the day everything changed. During a live broadcast, she saw something that scared her so much, she fainted. And guess what? The woman who used to speak so confidently on air now struggles to express herself, just like the others I mentioned before. What is this strange illness? Is there a triggering factor, or could someone be behind all of this? I'll reveal more in the next video.
As we filmed, I will make...
Hey, you know what else can age you pretty quickly? Drugs. And allegedly Wendy Williams was heavy on the drugs. Allegedly Justin Bieber was heavy on the drugs. Now for Celine Dion, I really don't know. And based on what I can tell from the media, I don't think she was. But, you know, the first two for a fact. Let me know what you think.
Hey, TikTok, I'm in Boston, downtown Crofton. Check this out, man.
Satellite just fell out of the sky.
Would you believe
Satellite just fell out of the sky, y'all, in Boston, downtown crossing. Y'all spread the word, man. Satellite just fell out of the sky.
Yeah, fell out of the sky.
OG said it fell right out the sky, y'all.
No, it's not.
Right here, I got it. It's right here.
Probably just now, and it's
Look, check it out.
satellite is right on the
There it is, y'all. Canada. Canada.
Lucky it didn't land on
Look
my
at
bus.
Look at that, y'all. There it is. Look at that.
Hey, this is weird. We're in Venice, Florida. It's very foggy, as you can see. And I saw something on TikTok and I thought, oh, bull crap. But it's not. Why? What is this? I have never, ever seen this. This isn't fog. It acts like fog. And there is a very weird smell to it. It's very chemically. We actually thought somebody was burning something out here. Sorry, my husband keeps moving the light all over the place. But yeah, that's what it looks like for real. That's not fake. I'm too old for AI. That's real crap. Right there.
You guys hear about those fires in Chile?
Yeah.
Dude, it happened.
That's not fake. I'm too old for AI. That's real crap. Right there.
You guys hear about those fires in Chile? Yeah. Dude, it happened in Vina del Mar, eerily similar to what happened in Maui. So you know how they were talking about Lahaina becoming the first city in Hawaii to be a smart city? Vina del Mar was the headquarters of smart city business for Chile.
No way.
These fires, same scenario. High winds, no warning, a lot of people died. And I saw a video today, this dude going through the wreckage, a little outskirt of Vina del Mar, and there was a blue house, completely unburned.
No way.
And I don't know if you've heard about a conspiracy of the direct energy weapon, but lasers cannot burn the color blue. So in Hawaii, everything was just burnt to a crisp. Yet there's like just blue umbrellas, completely unburned, unfazed.
I have family who was walking through the area. They literally said their warehouses, all the green ones are scorched, all the blue ones are still standing and fine.
That's crazy. But a weird connection with the fires in Maui. That day there was a satellite right above Maui. Guess who owned that satellite? CERN.
Really?
A couple years ago, CERN discovered they called the fifth force of nature, cosmic energy.
Is unreal.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and you were talking about that, and there you go. You go across the street and you just, right there. Those are the ones that you're talking about. Those are the seaside homes that are off of Malibu, and they're just, all of them just are gone. Just one after another, leveled. And of course, I'm also kind of wondering, I know this kind of goes down to another different rabbit hole, but, I've heard in the past that they weren't going to allow construction there anymore, and now that these homes are gone, are they never coming back? It's just more questions than answers right now. But you can see how they're total destruction, and then there's a group of homes that are just fine.
It doesn't make sense,
so much
right?
Of that in all the various communities.
Of course, I'm also kind of wondering, I know this kind of goes down to another different rabbit hole, but, I've heard in the past that they weren't going to allow construction there anymore, and now that these homes are gone, are they never coming back? It's just more questions than answers right now. But
this man's walking around and he sees a part of a liquefied, now solidified.
More questions than answers right now. But
this man's walking around and he sees a part of a liquefied, now solidified, melted metal action from this car. Many people are already going to be thinking that would be a pretty hot fire, which it would be. So there must be a forest right nearby that's burnt. Oh, not really. Now, in this book, Where Did the Towers Go? There was a parking lot, and they called the Toasted Car Park, because almost every single car in this parking lot got toasted. And it was near the towers, makes you wonder. But the strange thing is that you'd have images like this, where the outside of the car is toasted, the paint is melted off, but inside plastic and vinyl still is intact. Same thing with this, toasted exterior, but unburnt upholstery, unburnt seatbelt, plastic molding. And it's all about the strangeness of what happened to some of these cars on 9/11. Makes you wonder.
Newly captured footage from an FAA pilot over New Jersey.
a cluster of 6 glowing orbs hovering motionless above the clouds. These sightings, though, are far from new. They have been reported throughout history. During World War II, pilots called them Foo Fighters, mysterious lights that moved with impossible precision, often in formation, and were thought to be advanced enemy technology. But their behavior defied explanation. Even earlier, historical texts and art describe strange, luminous orbs, sometimes appearing during battles, storms, or moments of significance. Some interpreted them as divine signs, others as omens or warnings, and today, sightings like these are increasing, not just here in the US, but across the globe. Their appearance raises profound questions. Are they observing us? Are they here to assist or to warn? Or is their presence tied to something much larger, something yet to come?
And that's facts. Every civilization throughout the world and throughout history has always seen them and has had a different name for them too.
Bruce Willis had an overall deal with the studios, which an overall is like 5 movies he has to complete with that particular studio, and he could no longer do it. So they worked him till the very end of what he could do, and then they shut him down. Wendy Williams is interesting. She went after P. Diddy, like on the lithium, exactly. She went after P. Diddy in the beginning. She was right, and now look at her. What's going on with that? They even took her conservatorship away. How did she get like that? And when they become alcoholics like that, why are they becoming alcoholics? Remember Frances Farmer, the actress? She used to go wild. She was like a whiskey drinking, card playing woman, man. Like, she didn't take no shit. She wouldn't show up. She didn't let the directors boss her. She didn't like fall down and go, oh my God, yes, I'm going to do everything you say. So they gave her a partial lobotomy. She still lived after that. She still functioned, but she functioned like a dementia patient. Ketamine, again, back in 2010, I had a client that worked in Malibu, a psychiatrist client. She was actually the sister of a client of mine. And she was introducing ketamine to teenagers. Yeah. Because it's going to help you. See, psychiatry is, and Tom Cruise, even the God, that's what I think they do. I think that's what happened to Bruce. The ketamine, the psychiatry, like Tom Cruise said, he's correct. Psychiatry is the medicating of the brain due to the way that you respond. So talk therapy is the non-medical approach, and EMDR and somatic healing are the body's physical energetic meridian lines, acupuncture, the body's meridian lines to cure it. So I feel it's more important to do that than to do anything a psychiatrist said, unless of course you're having a psychotic break. I've had a few, and so there you go.
The FBI has official documents that blatantly talk about interdimensional aliens, and everyone's cool with that. Dating back to July 8th, 1947, the exact same date as the first ever mainstream UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico. This is on their official government site. Like, this document actually exists. It's real. And it kinda already told us what all these drones, UAPs, and orbs in our skies really are almost 80 years ago. I'm warning you, this is about to get wild, because a lot of what's written here has been happening right in front of us. The document is several pages long, but this page right here is by far the most interesting. It's a memorandum addressed to scientists and military authorities, written by someone who has several degrees and is a former university department head. Definitely doesn't sound like your local nut job. It goes on to describe the flying saucers, as UFOs were commonly referred to back then, starting off by saying that any plane that attacks these saucers will almost certainly be destroyed, and warning that doing so may cause panic among the public, so keep it low-key. The document continues to explain these crafts in detail, and this is where it gets weird. According to this, some of the UFOs carry crews, like living beings flying them from the inside, and others are fully remote controlled. I feel like we kinda already knew that. Then it gives us a bit of hope, saying that whatever they are, their mission is peaceful and are just looking to settle on our planet. Not the worst news, right? These visitors are human-like, yet much larger than us, and are not from Earth, but from their own world, world, clearly. But they don't come from another planet as we would expect, but rather an etheric realm which interpenetrates our own and is not perceptible to us. Put simply, interdimensional beings. That's literally what it's saying. And their bodies and crafts automatically materialize into existence when they enter our dimension. Their crafts also possess a radiant energy that will easily disintegrate any attacking ship, and can also disappear from our dimension at any time without a trace. But the realm from which they come from is not the so-called astral plane, which is where a person's spirit is commonly thought to go to after passing away, but rather corresponds to the locus and talas, which are Hindu mystic terms that refer to 14 worlds that exist in dimensions above and below our own. Yeah, I told you shit was gonna get weird. And finally, they can't be contacted by radio, but likely can be by radar if we build some sort of signal systems designed for that purpose. Well, now, isn't that something? To be fair, many are quick to point out that this document wasn't actually written by the FBI, but rather was a newsletter written by Dr. Newton Mead Lane to the FBI, which they just stored in their archives. And obviously, if you Google it, it'll just tell you it's a bunch of pseudoscience and nonsense, you know the drill. Regardless, it's still an interesting report for the feds to keep in their official public document vault. And as wacky as the ideas presented here are, it kind of sounds similar to what's happening in our skies today, written in 1947. And this isn't the first time the FBI's public vault was under scrutiny. Back in 2011, another UFO memo from 1950 featured in their online archive was making its own rounds. This document mentions 3 circular saucers 50 feet in diameter with raised centers that were recovered in New Mexico. Each saucer was occupied by 3 bodies of human shape, but only 3 feet tall and wearing metallic clothes. Non-human biologics, anyone? Which admittedly contradicts the other document which said they're bigger than us, but maybe they come in different sizes, who knows. But again, this report was dismissed as hearsay from a third party with no proof, and no further evaluation was performed. Even though the report was written by Guy Hoddle, a special agent of the FBI, reporting an account given by an investigator of the US Air Force. 2 top-ranking government officials with no reason to lie, reporting on UFOs with non-human bodies found on board, swept under the rug as usual. Info about UFOs and unexplainable technology like this has been slowly trickling out over the decades and has definitely ramped up quite a bit in the last couple of years. What used to be crackpot theories are now basically government confirmed, which I don't even know if the government confirming it should make us less or more skeptical about it. So just remember these totally fake and for entertainment purposes only FBI documents in the coming months and see if any of these get added to the told you so checklist.
I'm still waiting for them to pop out. Like, we see the UAPs all over the place, up and down the coast, but we still have yet to see them just pop out and say hi.
We're watching the fires. I swear there's a UFO. Look, there's a plane. What the f*** is that?
What the fuck is that?
We are going to see those winds. Look at it. Picking up, and it won't just small little break, and that break. Look how fast it's going. To come on the brink of being expired. We are going to see those winds picking up,
and there goes another prime example of those UAPs showing up.
There is a freaking kangaroo in my yard here in Texas. I have no idea where this came from. I don't know what to do.
There are rumors that have come up to the Hill of a secretive project within the Department of Defense involving the manipulation of human genetics with what is described as non-human genetic material, potentially for the enhancement of human capabilities, hybrids.
Cassandra Martin is a flight attendant for Surjet, a private air service. On the night of December 23rd, she says she and 2 pilots were flying back to Fort Lauderdale in an empty jet high over the Bahamas when air traffic control sent a message.
When all of a sudden I heard traffic control say, "We have a foreign object, can you please identify?" I looked to the left and pilot saw 3 objects, I only saw 1. And I grabbed my phone and I just pressed it to the window, and the object was white, and then it turned slightly green, almost kind of like an electric field around it of some sort. And it stayed with us for about 45 minutes, and then we didn't see it again. And we were about 45,000 feet, and it was way above us.
Well, I think the video is compelling. This video and this testimony rhymes a lot with a number of cases that we heard from military pilots going back even 10 or 15 years.
these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse, and it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails. the emails are published. It's all kind of out there, and they're like, and basically it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true. That's ridiculous. They wanted us to take down this meme of Leonardo DiCaprio looking at a TV talking about how 10 years from now or something, you're going to see an ad that says, okay, if you took a COVID vaccine, you're eligible for, for this kind of payment, like this sort of like class action lawsuit type meme.
You know what? That just doesn't surprise me, because when it comes to politics, there's a lot of shakedowns and payments.
Leah, calm down, baby, calm down. Calm down, calm down. Malia, calm down.
Well, you know what? It's 2025, so there will definitely be a lot more creepy and unfortunate things happening. Keep your head on the swivel out there, folks.
Yo! Look at everyone filming, man.
Yo! Get him out!
There's a shocking new development in police technology that I'd like to tell you guys about. It's called ODIT. It stands for On-Device Interception Tool. This tool requires the police to get a warrant. Once they have that general warrant to use the ODIT technology, they install a device on your phone, and we don't know if it's in real life or whether or not it's remote, but nonetheless, it allows the police to monitor your use of a phone in real time. This means as you're typing and sending text messages, signal messages, receiving videos, sending photos, no matter what you're doing, if this technology is installed on your phone, the police can watch in real time as opposed to after seizure of the device. Keep that in mind when you're using your phone and deciding how you're using your phone and what you're saying.
You know what? I think they've been doing that the whole time. After the whole 9/11 situation, there were a few laws that came up that gave them the ability to spy on everything that you're doing. But if you're doing all the right things, you shouldn't sweat it too much.
Take this methylene blue, you put it in the person's body, and then you shine red lights on the body. The methylene blue activates. So it's a photoactive dye. It means that it gets excited when it's exposed to certain wavelengths of light. And so this can have effect on killing cancer cells and different kinds of bacteria.
It's like, that is the weirdest thing. Keep driving. Is it a drone? What? Can you keep driving? It looks like an alien.
I have a few videos with that same exact demon looking thing in other parts of the world, and I know it's not a kite, and a lot of you said, oh, that's just a kite, but I just have a strong feeling it's not. But let me know what you think.
Something flew into the frame. What I saw was a circular object. It was a classic flying saucer, and it shot a beam of something at our warhead. You have to imagine this thing is flying along at several thousand miles an hour. This stuff is flying along, and something comes into the frame and chasing it, and comes in like this and fires at it, and goes around like this and fires at it, and goes around like this and fires at it, and fires at it like this, and then goes back out that way. What the hell could do that? And he said, what was that? And I said, it looks to me like we got a UFO. And he said, you are never to say that again. As far as you're concerned, Lieutenant Jacobs, this never happened.
You notice the fire over the helicopter? Those pieces with roofs, they didn't move. It's the right material. Yeah. So we gotta change that. Anyway. We're gonna put some trees. We'll people up to.
Hey, is it me, or did that man just say the houses with the blue roofs didn't burn?
Have you ever seen a village with automatic fire extinguishing? In Shirakawa Village, Japan, ancient thatched houses over 250 years old hide a stunning secret: an automatic sprinkler system. When a fire breaks out, 60 sprinklers instantly pop up and spray high-pressure water like a giant fountain, quickly extinguishing the flames. The annual test turns into a spectacular water pipe festival, drawing countless visitors to witness the impressive scene.
Now, why can't we have stuff like that in America? That look pretty cool, right? And looks pretty useful too.
From the satellites. Now wait for it. What is that? Did y'all see that? That is laser. And on the screen you can see what they often use that for, I'm sure. Apparently this is coming from Daywalker 378. But we got more on this. Check this out.
He authorized Sidney Gottlieb to spray germs into the fog in San Francisco Harbor. The point was to try to infect 800,000 people in San Francisco with this germ just to see how many would get sick.
Yes, this is true, and to a lot of you, this should seem very familiar. In 1950, crew members of a U.S. Navy ship spent 6 days spraying a type of germ about 2 miles off of the California coast. Its aim was to determine the susceptibility of a big city like San Francisco to a potential bioweapon terrorist attack. In the following days, the military took samples and found that not only did it infect San Francisco, but also many of the surrounding areas. And when this happened, not a single person was made aware. Now, if you still aren't connecting the dots as to what I'm trying to say here, here is a patent that was made in 1920 for the production of intense artificial clouds, fogs, or mists. You can look all of this up yourself. I will put the patent number right here. I don't know about you, but this stuff is getting scarier and scarier, and I make sure to have something for myself and my family to be detoxing and supporting our bodies from whatever junk they are trying to spray us with.
The whole entire hill's on fire. Holy shit.
Hey, that's concerning on many levels. I mean, from one aspect of it, there's a lot of biblical talk about balls of fire in the sky. And then secondly, as much as I fly, I probably would have a complete heart attack looking at something like that flying next to my plane or even in the distance. Let me know what you guys think.
I thought this was wintertime. Why are we having so many fires? And of all the places, New York, y'all, this is the Bronx. The Bronx. The fire started at one of the top floor apartments at around 1:45 a.m. And because New York is experiencing high winds, the fire jumped from roof to roof to roof to roof. Like 5 different roofs, y'all. Who let the dogs out, right? Roof. Oh my goodness. The roof is on fire. And yes, there were people in the buildings when the fire started because this is early in the morning at 1:45 a.m. People are trying to sleep. Look at this, y'all. It's crazy. 2025 is coming in hot. I see what they mean by that, y'all. I see what they mean. But all this fire, right? Los Angeles, the Bronx, Ghana. There's a whole bunch of bushfires going on in New Jersey. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. Yeah, bro, that thing is really burning, y'all. That thing is really burning. Let me know what you guys think about this video, y'all. Let's continue to get this shift. Peace in.
The 15-minute cities is something that the WEF has created called C40, and it's called C40 cities. I would urge you to certainly look on the internet about it. Basically, you won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car anymore. You'll have to buy electric. If you want food, you will get a calorie-controlled system sent to you by text saying, this is what you can eat today. This is what you can have today. If you violate any of these things, they'll freeze your bank account. That is the next step. These are stages in which they're going to implement this stuff. And this was signed up by the WEF, and the WEF has signed up with our mayor in London as the chair. And he has gone around the world to communicate this C40 to all of the countries in the world. And most of the countries are looking at adopting it. Now, I am going to abolish it. It is a hopeless position. We are going to be in an open prison, or shall we say a COVID, for the rest of our lives. We will not be able to work unless it's in our 15-minute city. It's diabolical. It's not this is not the right thing. And it's been hidden from the public. No one's talking about it.
So I'm sitting in traffic. Scotty's driving. Say hi, Scotty. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Scotty's driving. And where are the damn famous people tunnels in LA? I could do with a Starbucks in a famous people tunnel.
You know what? I'm still on the fence about Will. I'm not too sure what to think about that man right about now.
It seems Donald Trump wants to build a massive empire during his presidency. First, he'll take over Canada, then Mexico, the Panama Canal, and finally, Greenland. If this vision became a reality, here's what the US might look like. Removing borders with Canada would boost security and cut defense costs, as the US spends heavily on Canada's defense. Adding Mexico would bring cultural richness, workforce, and a booming tourism industry. Greenland's strategic location and natural resources would make the US a true global superpower. And with the Panama Canal under its control, this nation would dominate global trade and energy flows. The combined land area would be 9.3 million square miles, 1.5 times larger than Russia. With a population of over 500 million, this new country would be the third most populous, behind India and China. And with a GDP over $30 trillion, its power would be unquestionable.
The fallout from the California fires that are going on right now is going to make the East Palestine train derailment look like child's play. Every human-built structure that burns releases unfortunate chemicals known as dioxins, which are extremely bad for you. Now, breathing this smoke in is one thing, but they're floating over and we're going to fall, and they're falling as we speak, on California's food crops, which is like the breadbasket of America. But even mainstream news after the Napa fires in 2017 are talking about toxic ash threatening soils, streams, etc. This was way bigger than that, and it's still ongoing. Toxic chromium and heavy metals that drift along and then are landing in that valley where so much food is grown. This adds a significant sense of urgency to detoxing and rejuvenating your system naturally. If you can get to a spring in Mount Shasta, which is some of the cleanest springs in the world, go there and drink that water. Now, obviously, it's not really realistic to just not eat any food grown in the Central Valley of California. So what you can do in the meantime, at least, is to be detoxing along the way.
All right, guys, where do we see a fire? Because I do not see one. It is currently, look at my phone, January 10 at 1:10.
Not the year of the snake yet. The year of the snake starts on the 29th. So we can see it's the year of the dragon still. California is burning. How many times did I say last year in 2024, watch out? I made videos about it, guys. And the video said, if you're in California, watch out. The great state of California was founded 9/9/1850 in the year of the dog. If you're in California in the year of the dragon, I expect a lot of problems. And I'm gonna put it out there. In 2036, in 12 years, in the next dragon year, I expect the next big earthquake to hit San Francisco.
You remember this tree that looks completely out of place? Some people theorized it could be a fake tree, and the shimmering on the leaves is a kind of camouflage. Well, I want to show you something. Watch this. That's not normal. So now the question is, why is there a fake tree sitting among a forest? Is it a spy tree? Is it a hiding place for someone or something? Could it even be a portal tree for Bigfoot? Because there are hundreds of reports of Bigfoot disappearing into a tree, which could support the theory that Bigfoot is coming from another dimension.
Regular people amongst them. And a lot of the houses had tunnels under them and things like that, right? Plus, now we are at their mercy. They're not going to let us go. Now they've said you can't go into the burn areas because it's toxic, right? And you can't go get anything. Okay, why can't you go get anything if it's burnt to the ground? What are you actually going in there to get? Number one. Number two, it's your property. You can do whatever you want with your property, okay? You can do that. So fuck them. It doesn't matter. If it's my property and it's toxic, I can, like Paradise, California. Bingo, exactly. The other thing is, a lot of the celebrities that you see have behaviors that are less than favorable. So regardless, not all of them, but some of them. So they systematically hit houses of certain people, and everybody in between got annihilated with it because it's a fire. Since when, and I'm going to argue this point till the day I die, since when have the Santa Anas been in January? I've been here 40 years almost, and next year I think it'll be 40 years. 40 years in this country. I have never seen the Santa Ana winds in January. I've seen snow. I've seen rain. We are always, it's end of October. I can remember like driving and feeling the Santa Ana winds all around like Halloween and right after.
It's burning, is it? Because didn't I tell y'all that? Didn't I tell y'all there will be an accidental explosion? Accidental fire. And the next thing you know, celebrities' homes would be on fire. Things would be on fire. I pray for the people in its path, but I also pray that it exposes the things that it needs to expose.
Watch for those fires. Explosions make fires too. Explosions make accidental fires too. And then, oops, we don't know how that happened. And then you look into it and you see that it's tied to something that's tied to something that's tied to something that's tied to trafficking. And then you realize, oh, it wasn't just an explosion or a fire. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah, and people say this is regular snow. Yeah, that's fire. I'm throwing freaking snowballs at it. Wow.
Hey, for a second, I'm thinking he had to have manipulated that in some sort of way. Gasoline, rubbing alcohol, some kind of way he had to have manipulated that. But then you have to stop and think, hey, that's snow. How do you manipulate snow, right? There's definitely something wild about that. If you know something I don't, let me know.
The Kardashians are people that use glamour magic. Okay, so they come out and you think they're attractive. They're okay, but they're, you know, whatever. Clones are real. So when you're talking about Britney Spears, watch the face. The face changes and they're not always the same people. Yeah, Ariana Grande is, obviously. That is a thing. She told me about being chased by demonic entities 2016. So she was aware of it. But see, here's the thing. This is what I want to explain to you. And it causes anxiety, and it causes a lot of things, and it causes you to disassociate. But here's the thing I want to explain to you. When they are born into a family that is a Illuminati, Mason, whatever family, and let's say the kids don't know it. So for example, if they've been inverted in utero and they're just born to their parents, they're like you and I. They wake up in a family and this is their family. Like, I don't really think, like, do you think about really, like, is my mother wrong or crazy? It's not until you're a teenager or something where you can see behavior that you may think that, right?
After Selena Gomez, Jennifer Lopez, Celine Dion, Cardi B, and even Justin Bieber, it's now singer Billie Eilish's turn to deal with a mysterious illness. What's happening to her is truly creepy. Most people discovered her back in 2018 when everything seemed to be going great for her. But now, listen to what she confessed to these two people.
I'm never feeling happy, so why would I write about things I don't know about? You know, I feel the dark things. I feel them very strongly.
Unfortunately for her, on that day, the two doctors didn't understand what she was trying to explain. So she decided to try a different approach. She started drawing the monsters she sees in her nightmares. Here are some of the drawings she made.
Oh, this song. This is the drawing of this song, because the whole song is about, like, monsters under your bed.
They're just terrifying. But wait, it gets even creepier. Hidden messages are said to exist in her song When the Party's Over. And these messages, they're spine-chilling. You can hear them by playing her music in reverse. But hold on, because the second hidden message is far worse. She says something that sounds like a cry for help. It's as if she's being threatened by something powerful. Could it be that she too made a pact at the start of her career, like so many other artists allegedly have?
You know, by the looks of it and by the way he tells it, you never really run into a celebrity that's really happy with where they're at. It's always one thing or another, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really look worth it.
What do you think the drones are, Theo?
I thought it's just a bunch of fucking. I think it's a. What does a psyop mean? I always hear that.
Psychological operation.
Okay, I think it's a psyop by somebody. I think it's not.
You know.
Yeah, it's a couple drones over New Jersey, whatever.
Right.
I don't fucking know. It could be Jimmy John's is gonna have a new delivery thing they're gonna try next year. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon's gonna do a new. I wouldn't be shocked at all. It could have been one of those. You know, they have those New Year's Eve displays, like fireworks displays now are drones instead of fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have like 1,000 drones and they just make a bunch of shit and it's different, right?
I saw that at the Post Malone concert.
It could have been 11 drones escaped from a drones enslavement camp where they're forced to do these shows, and it's going to be a Pixar movie in 2 years. You know what I'm
So
saying?
you're not concerned at all?
I'm not concerned. Dude, look, if they're going to come get me, come get me.
Come get me. Look at you.
What are they doing? Who are they?
Who are?
Yeah, they're going to come get me.
Come get me.
Yeah, if they want to get me, they know where I am.
Yeah.
They
Leave
know
me
where.
alone.
Huh?
Yeah, otherwise leave me alone. Don't make me look at you flying around the sky
With
like
your
an asshole.
fucking, yeah, what are you doing up there? Come down here and fuck if you want to party.
Whoa.
Or come down here and fucking party. Come down here and have a drink. Come down here and do something. You're a drone in the distance.
So I'm not entirely sure what is going on here. So the only real explanation is probably those drones everybody's seeing. Like, what else could have possibly made this happen? It's gotta be drones, right? Like, what could make a perfect circle in the ice and it's just sitting here spinning?
Baalbek, which is located in Lebanon, if there was one example, one ancient site on Earth that is evidence of a lost, ancient, advanced civilization, Baalbek has the largest stones that were ever quarried in human history, the largest stones that were lifted, stacked, and transported in human history. And when I say stacked, they were perfectly lined up.
Like, what is the weight of that?
That's 1.7 million pounds. Each of them, and there's 3 of them. If you were to go to the quarry, there's ones that are 1,200 tons and even 1,500 tons. This is mind-boggling.
So I sat down and I put my hands on a table. There's really nothing there. There's no buttons, there's no monitors or anything, because the ships are steered and driven by thought. So I put my hands on there. He took his hands off me and the ship went woo, 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 woo. It started acting up. And I hear Mornay say, well, it doesn't know you. So the ship was reacting to me because it didn't know me, because I put myself in the command seat. So what he did then was he put his hand on my shoulder and the ship stopped misbehaving and went whoop, just like that.
If you live anywhere in the southern region, you need to hear this. We're about to get hit with a polar vortex that will affect over 250 million people. From January 19th to January 25th, you're about to experience some cold weather that you might have never experienced before. And you can tell that the times are changing. just had snow in Atlanta. They're saying that they'll have snow in Florida. They're saying that there'll be a snowstorm in Florida. They're also saying that there'll be single-digit temperatures in Texas. Pay attention. They're calling this the deep freeze. They're saying that this can be the coldest January that we've ever experienced in the United States of America. And these frigid temperatures, they're gonna affect just about everybody here. So you gotta get ready. Again, this is gonna be the biggest polar vortex to hit the US in years. Stay warm and stay ready.
I know. Jim Carrey's guest list for a 62nd birthday party was quite shocking to me. Or should I say, eye-opening. Especially people like Seth Green, David Spade. Talk to us, Hanks. What's going on? Didn't his sister-in-law, Kate Spade, also have a red handkerchief situation? If you know, you know. And then Jimmy Kimmel. And if Jim Carrey is exposing the industry, why would he surround himself with such people? Has anybody ever wondered if they're characters on and off screen?
I don't exist, so they're all characters that I played, including Jim Carrey, including Joel Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters.
But why would they create characters for the public?
Because I thought I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character.
In fact, I don't know one celebrity that hasn't been involved in some kind of scandal. Do any of you remember Jim Carrey's girlfriend, Catriona White? She was found unalived in her apartment after a several on and off year relationship with Jim Carrey. And then a note was found in her iPad 2 years prior to this incident accusing Jim Carrey of introducing her to diseases among a bunch of other horrific things. Her family was suing Jim Carrey. Her ex-husband Mark Burton tried to sue Jim Carrey. They were trying to prove whether he gave her medication, whether he gave her STDs. Long story short, the case was thrown out. And don't even get me started on the video he made for Emma Stone.
And every day for the rest of your life, you would thank God that I was the appropriate age for you.
Anyways, I think the world is just in love with the characters they play on and off screen.
Jim Carrey is another prime example of a celebrity that manifested himself into stardom. You know, he wanted to make $25 million a picture, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure he would go back and probably not even take that route.
Let me be specific. Anything I say tonight is allegedly, bitch. I don't know shit, I just live here talking. I love Jamie Foxx, let me say that. I love Jamie Foxx. But his motherfucking clone, his clone ain't shit. His clone kept on messing up. The clone showed up with a face full of freckles. We ain't never even seen Jamie Foxx with freckles, bitch. This clone is stupid as hell. The clone didn't even have a tattoo on the back of his head. I couldn't believe it. I watched the whole thing twice. I still don't know what had happened was.
Now, when I put that video up of Jamie Foxx talking about what happened to him, it was the great debate. All in the comments, it's the real Jamie Foxx, it's the clone. But if Cat Williams is saying that that's a clone, and we all notice he didn't have the tattoo on his head anymore, I'm pretty inclined to believe that that was a clone, man. And so that makes sense.
Which one's talking? This might be the scariest thing I've ever seen on the internet.
To introduce into the record, page 55 from the committee's interview
with page 55 from the committee's interview, which took place on July 17, 2023.
First, it's not a translator. This lady sitting right behind this lady, she's speaking, she's mouthing the same words, but even her mistake is mouthed by her.
Matters first, I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employee Roya Demlow, who...
Now, I'm gonna have to blank out some words because TikTok, but if you guys are over here, you might hear the words. This is so bizarre. Anything that she says, she is mouthing the same thing, even mistakes. So again, who is the one that's actually talking? And she notices the camera and all of a sudden covers her mouth. What's going on?
Leave this interview and were to suggest or imply that when you said the was real, that it meant that the FBI had affirmatively determined in October 2020 that the lab...
Something is among us right now that we cannot understand. And I think that's evident, especially off my research of, transferring and moving consciousness, all the studies in the book, The Rethink Mind. But I must say, where in the world would they get that kind of technology or knowledge? Let me know what you guys think below.
First, I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employees. Just have some administrative matters first. I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employee Roya Demlow, who... First, I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with page 55 from the committee's interview which took place on July 17, 2023. In that, which took place on July 17, 2023. In that, we're to leave this interview and we're to suggest or imply that when you said the laptop was real, that it meant that the FBI had affirmatively determined in October 2020 that the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden. We're to leave this interview and we're to suggest or imply that when you said the laptop was real, that it meant that the FBI had affirmatively determined in October 2020 that the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden. Would they be representing what you said, correct? Answer by Ms. Demlow. They would be representing what I said because I don't have much knowledge of that. They would be misrepresenting what I said because I don't have much knowledge of that.
I drop gems all the time about body language, and I recently just dropped a video about knowing how to read the way people blink. And that lady was focused. She hardly ever blinked. In fact, her eyes were wide open and she was dead locked in on what she was doing. So definitely pay attention to that. If you didn't notice that, run that clip back and pay attention to her eyes. She was hardly blinking.
He was giving a lecture to his class when this happens. A college professor from Argentina was preparing to give his new class a lecture. But while he was recording a video, he noticed something strange happening in the background.
Hola, ¿cómo les va? Hoy vamos a hablar de niveles de conocimiento. Bien, hay 4 niveles de conocimiento. El primer nivel es la ignorancia, el segundo nivel es la estupidez, el tercer nivel es la inteligencia y el cuarto nivel es la sabiduría. ¿Qué se diferencia cada uno de estos 4 niveles? Vamos a charlar ahora para después cada uno de nosotros ver en qué nivel estamos. ¿Bien? Bien. El primer nivel es el nivel de la ignorancia. En este nivel, la persona no tiene los recursos necesarios para lidiar con el desafío que se le propone.
As he's recording, his reflection in the background turns around and stares into the camera, as if it has a mind of its own. The professor explains he doesn't believe in the paranormal, but he has no way of explaining what he just captured on video. Tell me what you think.
Wilson's law suggests that prioritizing knowledge and intelligence naturally attracts financial success. Think of it as a universal rule. The more you invest in sharpening your mind, the more opportunities you create for wealth to flow your way. Intelligence drives innovation, problem solving, and adaptability, skills that are highly valued in any economy. Consider this: people like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs didn't start with money as their primary goal. They focused on ideas, knowledge, and pushing boundaries. The wealth followed as a byproduct of their intellectual pursuits. Wilson's law encourages a shift in mindset. Instead of chasing money, chase mastery. Money becomes a natural outcome. When you build expertise that others find indispensable, ask yourself, what could you learn today that might solve tomorrow's problems? By prioritizing your growth, you create a magnet for abundance, not just financially, but in the quality of your life.
That might be one of the heaviest gems I ever dropped on this channel. Taking in information daily is definitely a must. When preparation meets opportunity, man, that's when the dollar signs come in. Or at least opens the door to the dollar signs, right? Marinate on that one. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books. I appreciate you guys for stopping by and watching another one with me. If you haven't already, go and smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button. Join the iTrack fam. And I will catch you on the next one.